Hey, what's up? This is October the 16th, 2025, coming to you on this Thursday. Greetings to everyone. This video is for entertainment purposes only. This channel is called Death is Not a Death Sentence. And just trying to get into it real quick because I only have so much time. So let's get into the topic today. All right. Well, what I want to talk about today is that, you know, um, when your loved one has passed on and everything, and you feel like you have like unfinished business, like you didn't get to say what you wanted to say and everything like that. Like, have you ever like just imagined or even thought of like, if you could have one more conversation, with your wife or your husband or your significant other or your mom or your dad or your son or daughter, or just your loved one, cousin, a close cousin that was like a brother or a sister to you, or even one of your friends, that has passed, and you grew up together, or whatever the situation, right? What would you say? What would you say with that last conversation? Have you ever thought about, what would you say? Remember, this is going to be the last conversation, and you only have, just this last time to say. Would you bring up the past? Would you bring up how much you miss them? Of course, I think a lot of people would do that. But what would you say? How would you tell them that you're going to change for the better, or you're going to do whatever you need to do, to make them proud? Or would you just hug them all day and just be like, oh my gosh, I just love you and I miss you? Would you treat them different, right? Would you treat them different? What would you do? What would you do? Would you take them somewhere? Would you take them, you know, um, right then and there? Like I said, it's your last conversation. Would you take them somewhere? What would you do? What would you do? Would you tell them to, would you tell them to, not do they should have never did certain things? Or would you say, hey, listen, you know what? You did this to me. You did that to me. I was not able to, be a child, or I was not good enough. Or would you just tell them how you feel about, everything? Or would you just totally handle them with just love, knowing that that's your last conversation? A lot of times people be like, oh, they passed on. I never got the chance to tell them how, how I truly felt, how I truly felt, and how they made me feel. Some of the experiences are bad, like, oh my God, I was never a kid, um, um, this person abused me and you didn't believe me. So, what would you say? And I think a lot of times we take life for granted, right? So when you see people, right, you see your loved ones, you see your mom and your dad or whoever's there, right? When you see your loved one, right, when you're dealing with them, always think of what can you say to them, because you never know when that is going to be your last conversation. So I think if people talk to people, you know, in the midst of it being their last conversation, I think that we'll be a whole lot nicer to one another. A lot of times we take for granted thinking that people are going to be here forever, and people don't be here forever. You know, um, maybe your child died, and in your home or something, and maybe you wish that you could have just, knew when he passed, or, and you could have ran upstairs or just gave him that last hug when they were alive and breathing. Or maybe, your mom, is gone, or your dad is gone, and you wish you just would have just, been there, what to say or what to do. You would have just, so I just think that everybody should just talk to people as if it's going to be your last time seeing them, because it's very important, because don't wait for a person to die to give them their flowers. Um, we don't never know. We don't never know the time or the date when we're going to leave. So a lot of times we'll feel guilty, or we'll feel bad, or we'll feel, oh my gosh, I didn't get the chance to say, and that holds out like a lot of guilt and a lot of pain, unresolved pain, because you were not able to tell them, how you felt or what was on your mind, or maybe you were holding into something or whatever, but even though they're gone or whatever, they're passed on, but they're not gone, but even though that, like I said, I mean, you could still, in my other videos, I talk about, you can still talk to them. You can still talk to them. They're around. They hear everything you're saying. You can still talk to them. I mean, even if you need to cry, or even if you need to just talk, like, like if they were there, just talk, just have a conversation. And then those who can't talk, just write a letter, write a letter, and I just think that a lot of times we get so wrapped up thinking like, we're so much promised to wake up in the morning, and literally we're not promised to wake up in the morning. God, he make it so for us to wake up in the morning. And I just think that, we take advantage of it. We really don't realize, what God does for us, to be able to see the people that we see on a normal basis, and they are alive and they are there. We got people in the family or people that we love, we've been holding grudges for 15, 20 years, 5 years, and people just can't get over the grudges. They can't forgive. They can't forget. But they can forgive something else, but they can't forgive their loved one. They can't forgive the people that brought them in this world, like maybe a mom or a dad. They can't forgive a loved one, a cousin or a sister or a brother. They can't never forgive. The only thing they think about is just the pain, and I just look at it like, how are you going to turn around and move on if you can't forgive? So I just really think that, that people, have a lot of pain and a lot of grudges. And, you got loved ones out there that are so mad with their loved ones, they will die and won't even say a word to their loved ones. Even when, they know God dang gone well that that's not right. Even when I've seen, like, even when people be trying to talk to their loved ones because maybe they're sick or something or whatever, and they be trying to mend, their relationship because they know that that they're not going to, they're terminal, and they know that they're not going to make it. And I've seen, whereas even though they know they're terminal ill, they do not want closure. They do not want their loved one to talk to them. They want to hold the same grudges. And I used to be really angry about that. Like, goodness gracious, why did she get cancer and just become evil all of a sudden in her last days? Or he was just so evil before he died. I mean, he was just unbearable. And then I had to learn, right? I had to learn that a lot of times when people are like in their last days or terminally ill and things of that nature, that's not really the true them, So a lot of them get mean, a lot of them get angry and frustrated. But if you think about it, if you're always in pain 24 hours a day, would you be the nicest person? So I don't think a lot of people would. If you're always in pain and always taking medicine and always getting these shots and always being sick and just being just so miserable, I don't think you'll be the happiest individual. So, you tend to kind of think back and be like, oh, wow, that was a news flash for me. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I've seen some things in my life, and I realized some things in my life as well. So people out there, they got loved ones or family that, that's going through terminal ill sicknesses, and they changed, her personality changed, and you might think, oh, they used to be that way and they're not that way no more, they're too mean. No, they're still the same. It's just that they don't feel good, and so when you don't feel good, you're not at your best. And I think that a lot of us have to have way more sympatheticness and understanding, and don't put our emotions before theirs, because at the end of the day, we're supposed to be there for them. Even when they're falling weak, we're supposed to be there to pick them up, right? That's the ultimate goal, to help one another, right? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm running out of time. So I'm praying for everyone. Follow me. I'll follow you back. Subscribe. And I love everyone. God bless everyone. I'm praying for everyone. And God bless everyone. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.